indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Hard to believe this will be the last Board of Ed meeting for 2024. And for those of you that I might not see, I hope you have a very happy holidays. I have the honor today to celebrate some of our amazing athletes, and I'm going to start with all-state fall athletes from our girls soccer program. And I want to thank Coach Murillo, who is here, not only for his years of dedicated service as our coach and tireless efforts with our athletes, but also for putting together the write-up. I appreciate that. So the first athlete we'll celebrate tonight is senior Phoebe Carpenter. And Phoebe is involved with other sports and is not here tonight, but I'm happy to read this write-up for her. She is a two-time All-State recipient. She had 11 shutouts this season and over 30 in her career. She was voted as the #1 keeper in our division for the last 3 seasons. She's also voted Team Defensive Player of the Year and co-MVP. She was selected to the Connecticut Girls Soccer Coaches Association Senior Bowl and played it on November 23rd. And she's going to continue to play at Division II Flagler College in Florida next year. Congratulations, Phoebe. Junior Emily McKelvey is an All-State recipient as well. She led the team and the division with 29 goals and 6 assists. She was voted the #1 player in the division by the league's coaches. In addition, she was the team co-MVP and was also named the most outstanding player in the ECC tournament for the 2nd year in a row. Emily was named to the United Soccer Coaches Association's Region 1 team, which translates into being named All New England. This is a great honor and is only the 2nd player in Lyman girls soccer history to receive this recognition. So congratulations to Emily, and once again, thank you, Coach. Now we move on to some of our cross-country athletes, and the first honoree is freshman Elizabeth Pearson, who is here. Elizabeth, if you wouldn't mind standing during your recognition. She is a multiple medal winner this season, earning 3 medals at the Invitationals. She placed 6th at the ECC conference meet and was an ECC All-Star. She placed 4th at the Class S state meet, the top freshman in the meet, to earn All-State honors. Her best time of 20 minutes and 29 seconds run at the state meet makes her the 15th best freshman in the state. And she went on to place 70th at the state open meet and was the 8th freshman. Congratulations, Elizabeth. Next up is junior Hazel DeLucia. Hazel, would you mind standing, please? Hazel was undefeated in the regular season and the winner of 2 invitationals, the individual ECC conference champion, and a new course record at 19 minutes and 16 seconds. She was an ECC All-Star and was named the ECC Athlete of the Week in October and named the ECC Runner of the Year. She placed 2nd at the Class S state meet to earn All-State honors, went on to place 8th at the Connecticut State Open to qualify for New England's, where she placed 16th, running an 18-minute 41-second time, which was the 37th fastest girls' time ever on the Wickham's course. Congratulations, Hazel. And last but not least, I have the privilege of celebrating our girls cross-country small but mighty team. I want to thank Coach Fields and Coach Gray not only for their efforts with the girls, but for the write-up. And I know that Coach Fields did not include that she was actually the ECC Coach of the Year. So I'd like to give her a round of applause. So the girls had a tremendous season. They finished out the regular season 8-0 and were the ECC Division III champions, as well as the overall ECC champions for the first time since 2006. At the ECC Championships meet, sophomore Hannah Bauer was the winner of the JV race. 4 girls were named ECC All-Stars for their performance during the regular season. Junior Hazel DeLucia, freshman Elizabeth Pearson, junior Sylvie Hiltz, and freshman Nora Johnson. The team won multiple invitationals this season, and at the state meet, the girls placed 2nd, 4th, 18th, 28th, 31st, 35th, and 38th to win 74, 79-74 over Hale Ray, securing the girls' first state title since 2006. Congratulations to you all. If you would be so kind, Mrs. Mike has certificates for you. We'd love to take some pictures and be able to post your celebrations for all to see out in the atrium. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. No more leisurely runs with your girl, huh?
With Board Bylaw 9011, we invite public participation. We have allotted a total of 30 minutes. Each community member is allowed 2. Is there any member of the community who would like to make a public comment? We will move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Nicole, seconded by Brian. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that is unanimous. And we'll bring them on to the student representatives report. Starting next month, we're not even gonna have to worry about it.
I know. Can't wait. Starting in Lyman, fall sports are obviously done at this point, but just last week we started our winter sports. Wrestling and girls basketball started last Monday, and indoor track and boys basketball on Friday. In addition, this year's musical, Legally Blonde, which, a little plug, on March 14th, 15th, and 16th will be here at Lyman. Just finished up auditions last Friday and has released their official cast list. That's exciting. A survey was sent out by our administration here at Lyman, we're outside, to all students at some point within the last month, I don't know how long ago it was, that was asking simply what students would like as incentives for perfect attendance. The survey results came back with around 60% of students favoring a homework pass, which is, I don't think anyone's surprised. I voted for that too. November 25th, okay. The class of 2026, the junior class, hosted a powder puff football game, which is where the senior and junior girls faced off in flag football, and many of the senior and junior boys, including myself, coached, and I printed photos of us. We all dressed up. It was a lot of fun. One of my friends stuffed a pillow under his shirt, and we all brought headsets, and it was a lot of fun. We were on the sidelines yelling and stuff. We made a playbook, but I left the pictures on my counter at home, so I was going to pass them around. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Mr. Johnson spearheaded that. He's their advisor, right? Yeah, I don't know. Lyman's concert band, choir, and contemporary ensemble played at Saturday's tree lighting just a few days ago. Both concert band and contemporary ensemble and the choir also today around 12 just performed at the senior center here in town, and that was a lot of fun. It was a big hit. We baked baked goods and brought it to them, and we had a few, like, carols and Christmas songs, and got in the Christmas spirit over there at the senior center. Alice in Wonderland, this is not in order at all, but Alice in Wonderland, Lyman Drama Company's fall production, the fall play, wrapped up on the 22nd of November with 2 very successful shows, and honored its senior members on Saturday as well. And that was, very successful for them, for Mr. Johnson.
And then for the middle school, U.S. News and World Report recently published their 2025 best middle schools. Lyman Middle School placed among the top 40% of middle schools in the state of Connecticut, making it U.S. News best middle school. Anna, how do you say that? Kurtz took over the advisor of LMS newspaper club this year. She and the students did a fantastic job of modernizing the school paper. Miss Sostowski and Miss Laundry recently announced the cast and crew for this year's drama production, Dorothy in Wonderland. The annual winter concert, which will be held on Friday, December 13th at 6 p.m. The PTO will be on hand at the concert in the annual thematic homeroom basket raffle in Big Seal. They are seeking donations for the basket raffles. The middle school's winter sports are underway. Boys and girls basketball team competed in a jamboree against Lisbon last week. It was a fun way to kick off the season with some funky scorekeeping, determining how to add up the sum of each varsity and JV game. Also battling in a game of knockout versus the other school. The middle school wrestling team continues to toll away. Seeing these kids work is like a Rocky training montage. At the elementary school, they have been very busy. The PTA hosted a holiday extravaganza on December 6th, where there were vendors and crafts for the kids. Each grade level is holding a community meeting where the students play games and practice humor skills. We are looking forward to the winter chorus concert on December 18th, and they earned another Spirit Day for positive behavior, Tinsel Tuesday, which is on December 18th as well. December is a big month for the service projects too. Pre-K and kindergarten are collecting PJs for kids in needs, and they will be wearing them out and collecting donations for the CTE Children's Hospital.
That's all we had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah. I just wanted to make a comment about the Alice in Wonderland production. I probably say this after every drama or musical production that is done here. I mean, first of all, the lights were amazing. Everything looked fantastic. But just the hours of dedication that the staff members that are connected to the musical, that everybody, I'm not just talking about Ms. Ricard and Mr. Johnson, but everybody that has something to do with it. I mean, there's an additional tea party that they had, like really early the next day after Friday night. So they're literally here from like 8 a.m. to I don't even know what time at night. So just another shout out to that, like hard work, dedication of the faculty and staff that can help support that. And one of them said it to me, I think it was Ms. Ricard, they just keep like increasing the bar. Every performance just keeps getting better and better. So just a big shout out. If you didn't make it, make sure you mark that down and legally blonde because you don't want to miss it.
And I'd like to give a shout out for the presentation that was given today at the Senior Center. And if you missed it, they are having a concert this Friday, Saturday?
Next Thursday, I believe.
Thursday,
But I don't remember.
Excellent tunes and singing. It's just phenomenal. The seniors enjoyed it. Some of them got up and danced and laughed, and it was a great way to welcome in the Christmas season. Beautiful, beautiful job today. And we have our drummer here today.
I
So
also
thank you.
attended the show. I brought my middle school boys who are also in drama, so we all enjoyed it very much, and they got to see what comes next for them. which is always great. And it was really, it was the first time that I've come to a show, so it's been a long time, but it was really sweet seeing the seniors recognized and hold them and do around. Like it was, I think I teared up a little bit. It was very sweet. And then it's also nice when we get to see the same students or any of the students out doing other things in the community. Several of us were just at the installation for the Leos. We had to see Caitlin as one of the leaders as well, so nice job, it was very sweet. Thank you very much. We will move on to reports and cookies. I just have them in my own order, so Brian, policy.
Policy, we did not, we met before the last board meeting, that was reported on at that point. We did not meet this month, but we do have, a half a dozen or so that are due for first reading tonight. Thanks.
Danelle, strategic plan.
I'm trying to find my training.
Okay, do you want me to come back to you?
Yes,
Okay. I'm sorry, are there any questions for Brian?
Living answers.
Rachel, finance.
We met this evening. We are pretty much on track with spending for the 2024-25 budget. Of course, as we know, special education costs are unplanned and continue to change. So with the latest changes, we see a potential savings, and with that offset along with the use of non-lapsing funds and some potential other savings in the budget. We may not need to go to the Board of Finance with requests of additional funds, as we talked about last month. But of course, those needs can continually change as the year goes on. For the 2025-26 budget, we reviewed the initial budget request and potential cuts that could be made to that. And it's just want to point out again, it's very important to remember that with just contractual obligations and insurance increases alone, we're looking, I believe it was just over a 5% increase for just those items, let alone any other increases to the budget.
Any questions for Rachel?
So included in your packet is my pretty complete, robust minutes of the curriculum subcommittee, which met on November 25th. One that I wanted to highlight, because we're going to talk about it tonight and vote on it, is the English department members came and presented a new course proposal, which is officially called Business and Technical Communication. It'd be one semester elective, including reading and writing, focusing on equipping students to become effective readers, speakers, writers, and listeners in the workplace. The course is proposed by a new staff member. That's a .4 right now. She joined the English department this year, and she had previously taught this course at the college level. So there's a lot of discussion on that and how kids need to learn how to write beyond the regular classroom typical writing, but need to be able to write effectively, besides in text messages and things like that, more for business oriented. The department also presented 2 new graphic novels, which are up for approval tonight. One is Superman and the other one is Batman. And of course we want to ask, what's the justification of these comic books? So we referred people back to the curriculum and how it's written and how it meets all of the standards for a strong high school course. And these 2 in particular have been brought forward now because with the graphic novel, it began with these 2 characters. And so to have a course without including a book about them, or their books, is kind of like starting a course without the foundation. And so those 2 are up for approval. They were on display in the library for the last 2 weeks. I'm just going to go briefly over the other items. We heard updates on the new programs at LES, continuing with a lot of professional development and support for the teachers. That's been ongoing. Then there was a science update. Again, you can read this all in the minutes. Inclusion training for Lyman and LMS, and Rita's been very busy. What else to say? Rita and our teachers have been very busy in all of these topics. So that's how I'll leave it. Again, there's a lot of notes in there.
The the new course and the 2 books will hold, conversation until later, but other than that, any questions for Danelle? Thank you very much. Sarah, superintendent evaluation.
Okay, thank you. So we did not meet, however, it is time for mid-year evaluations coming up right around the corner. So keep your eyes, kind of ready for an email from me in the near future. I'll include the new rubric that we all agreed on, just a couple of months ago, just to kind of steer your attention to that standards document that Dawn had shared with us, throughout the meeting, if you wanted to make notes on it, just so that when it comes time for mid-year and end of year evaluations, you're not, kind of scratching your head and trying to remember back, so that we can make sure that we provide the superintendent with some meaningful, purposeful feedback. All right, so keep your eyes posted on that. Okay, we'll meet, prior to next month. Good night.
Any questions for Sarah? Dawn, safety and security.
We didn't meet.
Alexis, negotiations.
Negotiations did meet today. We met in executive session to discuss unaffiliated salaries.
Sherry, climate, culture, and enrollment.
We met today and talked about wellbeing program that we're looking into, and possibly a medical program, and I don't have my notes in front of me. I didn't see it on the agenda, so I wasn't
Would you like
prepared.
Andy's assistance?
Yes.
He's got his notes ready.
Yes, thank you.
So Sherry's committee dovetails nicely with the superintendent report that I will be giving you shortly, so I can give you an update on all the things that were discussed at that meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, facilities.
Facilities took a break this month. They did not meet. I know. You're welcome, John.
EastCon is still vacant. I was hoping to go to the meeting last month, but it's the same night as the Board of Finance meetings. Yeah.
Can I remind you, I would love to welcome more people onto the curriculum committee. Right now it's Sarah, Sherry, and I. It's just 3 of us, and if you came too, that'd be 4. But curriculum is such a heavy lift, and there's so much involved in it, and I think when we're voting on materials and new courses, I think it's good to have even more heads and opinions and ideas there to talk about it, and I think, just the more the merrier. So if anybody wants to come to our meetings and join our committee, that'd be great.
That's a great point. I try to keep everybody at 3 committees. If you are interested in joining the curriculum, please let us know. Again, just trying to keep the workload kind of even. Alexis is asking a question.
Ask my question, more of a comment. It's I would love to join, but it's hard to do it on a night that's not already with us, and you would meet early, and I think a lot of us have other work commitments, and it's hard to do it 4 o'clock. So just note, if you have it later, I would be happy
Yeah,
to.
we'll have to talk about that too, because I can't take off work in order to attend all the meetings as well, so.
So we do. We do have a meeting coming up in January, I forgot to mention that, about another course proposal and some more textbooks. And the reason we choose the 4 o'clock, I think, is because a lot of the staff comes and we don't want them to hang around for a couple hours, so that's why we've been doing it at 4 o'clock, but I mean, there could be a little wiggle room too, we'll talk about that. But good for us.
Okay, we shall move on to administrators' reports. We have the administrators' reports in our board package, starting on page 16. Would any administrator like to add to their report?
I think the reps did a great job.
Are there any questions from board members? Thank you very much. We now will move to report of the superintendent.
Thank you. So first I wanted to discuss a community member concern with the air quality potentially at the elementary school First and foremost, want to thank that community member and any others who brought concerns to us. We encourage that if our community members have questions or concerns about the schools, I hope they have access to my email, my phone number, and try to make myself available at any time, either to talk to them or to answer an email, or they're always welcome to come in and meet with me in person. But with this particular concern, I met with John almost immediately thereafter. We went down and reviewed the place in question, and we immediately started removing tiles. Simultaneously to that, we reached out to Mystic Air, scheduled them to come in and do an air quality test. Those tests do take time to get results, so we did ask for the community's patience, and you all had to display patience as well until we got those results. We were happy to know that there was no toxic or black mold found in the report. We did take some extra steps to do some further cleaning to possibly prevent the look of concern, and we did go throughout the building and remove some other damaged tiles. During this process, though, of looking through the facility, we did find there was an exhaust fan that was not operating the way it should be on the second floor of the 66 wing. We got that replaced. So I think we responded as expeditiously as we could, and we tried to communicate in a straightforward and consistent manner. So overall, very appreciative again of the community members' concern and for John and his team's response. Any questions about that? All right, moving on to town surplus projects. If John and Jock wouldn't mind joining us at the table. We'll start with technology. If you remember, we were fortunate enough through town meeting to get $257,000 specifically for technology to address what we're calling a catch-up plan. So we have a 5-year student and staff refresh plan. Have not always been able to acquire the funds to fulfill that plan. So to have the opportunity to get these funds to do a catch-up plan was very exciting for us, and we moved quickly on that. Mr. Dulac did do a waiver because the vendor that provides us with these devices or boards is literally a direct supplier. So, for example, you're not going to get any cheaper than what we're getting. So I can turn it over to Jacques to see if he has anything to add there.
Just as he was saying, the Prometheans, we go through CDW and they have a non-compete clause. So if we use, it's the first company to go out to bid. So we've always used CDW for that. We also, I bought some Chromebooks to refresh the teachers. We usually try to keep them all for the students, and the teachers have been put on the back burner for a little while, so I just ordered 40 of those to start refreshing the teachers that we couldn't refresh. And with that, we are going to be purchasing desktops, the ones that are capable for Windows 11, and then there's a couple other projects that are on there, that one of them being the lab at the elementary school.
Yeah, and while the Board of Finance in particular was very supportive of this endeavor, one concern they did have was installation. Similar to our cross-country team, we have a small but mighty facilities team. John has kind of taken on that task of, as the Promethean boards come in, of getting them installed in the least disruptive manner. It's going to be difficult. It might be done in between times that classes are run, or it might be done before or right after school, but John and his team are going to work to get them done as soon as they can.
And it is 58 Promethean boards across the district, so like Andy said, it's going to be some work to get those all done during school, way before summer. I mean, usually be a summer project, but not, since they gave us the money, we'd rather get them done as quick as we can.
Any questions specific to the technology catch-up plan or the installation?
Who else did you have to take down can you ever resell them? Are they in such bad shape that you couldn't?
No, they're over 15 years old. They're projectors and boards. Yeah, they're not. Maybe next round, maybe the Prometheans, maybe in 10 years, those will be resellable, but not the ones that are up.
Any other questions? All right, so moving on to facilities, we did get funding for access control. We talked, I think, at length about the process that Mr. Jarvis has to go through if there's a staff member's card that needs to be activated, how he literally has to take the device that's antiquated in itself to each of the doors and program the card to each individual door. It's not a good use of his time. I think more importantly, we approach this through the lens of it being a security issue. If a staff member can't get into a particular door, then we have to wait for John to kind of go ahead and program the doors. Or on the flip side, if we have people leave the district and we want to deactivate their cards immediately. John's going to talk a little bit more about some of the features above and beyond what I'm talking about, of how it integrates into our lens system and some of the remote capabilities. So I'll turn it over to John.
So after getting the 3 quotes, I really thought it was just gonna be a quick slam dunk, right? Pick a vendor, install a system, done. That wasn't the case. The amount of, I met with a vendor a couple of weeks ago, and they were throwing information at me that I didn't even realize existed. We currently use a 26-bit prox card, which I guess is not a great technology to use. It works very well, but it's not great. Not very encrypted. They're looking to actually upgrade us to a more secure card that can't be simply copied. But with that being said, that could run into issues with, we use those current 26-bit cards for electronic timekeeping along with our printers for our print server. So we need to make sure that whatever card we use is compatible with both of those systems as well. A couple of the options that were given were server-based versus cloud-based. I've actually been working with Jacques to try to decipher which one is the best for us. Cloud-based would give us very optimal remote capabilities. So, say Andy left his key card at home, had to come to work for something, he could call me and I could let him in remotely from the touch of a phone. Server-based isn't as simple, still possible, but just not as simple to do. A couple things that we don't have with the current system is a swipe out feature, where there's 3 doors in particular in our pre-K and kindergarten rooms that I want to install a swipe out feature, which will require a credential to be presented when they walk out, and then also to get let back in. So what that will do is that will allow an alarm to be sent if the door is opened without authorization, right? So you have a student run, it'll send an alert to whoever we set it up for, whether it be a text message or an email. The system that we're looking at also can tie into our security cameras. So if there is an unauthorized entry or an entry that isn't, or an exit that isn't allowed, it'll actually timestamp in our security system. So that will allow us to then be able to go back and review that footage without having to search hours and hours and hours of footage to see who came in. Another thing that it will do is it will also tie into our lens system that we installed. So the second that we hit that lockdown button, if we had to, all the doors tied into the access control will instantly lock and not allow people into the buildings. Still allow a means of egress out if we had to, but all credentialed cards would be deactivated with the exception of the handful that we choose to, have as like an executive level card.
Any questions for John?
John, is the upgrade to this new system going to cost more money?
I plan to keep it within the approved money.
Okay.
So the quote that I actually got, which I'm kind of leaning towards, came in I won't say significantly, it came in less than what we were approved for. So some of these features that I'm talking about will be a bit of an add-on, but I'll make sure that we stay within that amount that was approved.
Good.
And John, when are you looking to hopefully execute?
So all 3 vendors that I've spoken to said that what they plan to do is, so that we don't have any lapse, they're actually going to set up the entire system connected to the internet, whether we go web-based or server-based, and basically build a system in my office on a table and go to individual doors so there'll be no lapse time. I was hoping for Christmas break. One company said they actually take that week off, so that wouldn't work. I'm hoping sometime in January timeframe, depending on hardware and availability of materials.
Thank you.
And that has been something that Jacques and John and I have talked about, is being responsive to. This was something that was presented to us we were not expecting. We just don't want to sit around with the funds. We want to take this as a serious gesture that is needed within our schools, and that's why we try to move this process along so quickly.
Thanks, John.
All right, this next one will be quick. Increasing educator diversity. This is something that I presented to you before, kind of belabored the point of the challenges with submitting it to the state, receiving feedback. A while back, we did get feedback that we needed to make revisions. I've made those revisions. The revisions have been accepted. The plan has been approved. So what we'll do now, the team and I, as we get ready to do further recruitment and dive into the selection process, we'll make sure to integrate these efforts. There is no plan yet from the state as to how it will be monitored or if we'll receive ongoing feedback. So we're going to kind of take the reins ourselves and do the best we can to implement those strategies and see if it impacts the diversity of our staff in the district. Any questions about that? All right, and the last one goes along with Sherry's committee report. So I'll be able to dive a little bit deeper into this. So I know we were talking about budgeting earlier and the possible challenges that we'll have there, but really focusing on wanting to remain optimistic and move the district forward. High school administrators, along with John, have been working with me to consider starting a welding program at the high school. So some things that we've done, we visited Westbrook High School to see a fully functioning program, and then we came back in-house. John did an internal review of our facilities. Mr. Apicelli and Mrs. Mike started looking at our staffing. In particular, John walked through our tech ed shop. In the initial walkthrough, we found that our ventilation for the welding stations worked, but we might need to upgrade them. And there could also be a potential upgrade for our electrical because of the power requirements in those stations. So after we did that internal review, we met with the certification office of State Department of Ed to see what certifications would cover the instructor in that class. If there were no certifications on our current staff, what potential courses would they need to take to obtain that certification, or if there was any cross endorsements or any emergency certifications that would be allowed. After we got that information, I started sending out emails and making phone calls to local state representatives, or I was even able and lucky enough to have a conversation with Senator Austin, had a conversation with Congressman Courtney's office. They both plan to visit our facilities and talk with us more about our aspirations. We have a visit to Turtelot High School Thursday of this week, who has another program that is up and running and is more comparable to our district. That connection was established through visits that we had from Electric Boat. They've actually come out a couple different times, advised us to go to Turtelot. They also introduced us to Collins and Jewell, which is a custom fabrication and industrial installation company right here in Basra. So we're trying to make those community connections and see how we might be able to establish potential apprenticeships down the road. EB has been great about advising us on how to potentially secure funding, and I know that Jay and Sue are looking at potential Perkins supplemental grant funding. And then they really stressed to us that all along the way we should be working on how are we going to market this, how are we going to sell this, first and foremost our students to get them excited about this, how are we going to talk with our community about this, and how this is really beneficial to our students to have as an additional not only school pathway but potential career pathway and having gainful employment right out of school. So that's very exciting. Not as much detail on the next two, but these are things that we're thinking, potentially 3 to 5 years out. We're looking at growing our medical pathway with a fire and emergency medical services course. We're also considering doing some educator pathways to set up our students to potentially be paraeducators or to have credits as they go into universities to become future teachers through what is called the Ed Rising program. And that's something that's in about 60 to 70 districts across the state. And we're looking to potentially join that movement. But the latter two are things that are at the very beginning planning stages. But we're trying to keep that forward thinking and future ready thought process as we continue to develop these programs. So any questions about any of those things? Thank you.
Move on to the finance report. 2024-2025 budget starts on page 28.
So there's no significant updates on the 24-25 budget. We still are monitoring special education, especially the outplacement tuition and transportation costs. You know, those are our two areas that, right now, we're potentially looking at some overages, and, you know, we're keeping track of that and any movements that we need to make. For the non-lapsing fund, with projected costs on projects, we're looking at a balance right now of $73,962.72. Projects that are, you know, slated in there, a couple of them have been completed, like the auditorium lighting project is complete. Some projects that were completed over the summer, like the asbestos abatement, gym floors that were completed, other projects that are ongoing. There's still a little work to be done for the underground tank removal. There's some asphalt needs to be put in where they had to remove the tanks. Due to the time of year, that may not happen now until the spring. The lens project, you know, some additional strobes being put in place. On the capital budgets for the athletics budget, right now it looks like there's a balance of $35,000. We do have a piece of equipment on order. That's roughly about $33,000, so that balance, you know, will be depleted pretty quickly once that comes in and we pay the invoice.
Thanks, Martha. Any questions on the 24-25 budget or the non-lapsing account? The mobile press box. So if you remember, we did the press box on the baseball field, and we wanted to try to provide the same type of possibility for some of our other fields without building a structure. So I always forget, is it a donkey or a mule?
Mule.
I was trying to think the same.
It's a
I can't.
mule.
I think it's a donkey.
No,
I
it's
think that's what
mule.
the,
It's referred to as one of those animals, but it's a mobile press box so that we could, you know, get to the soccer fields or to the softball fields or for track events, et cetera, and potentially video them or provide access to media if they wanted to be up there, those type of things. I would have to check on that, but that's something that has been on the non-lapsing for,
no, it's on the capital request
capital
list.
request for multiple years.
It's a donkey.
Donkey.
Yep.
The purchase, we did vote on.
It's been on the capital list.
It's on the approved capital list, yeah.
Any other questions? Comments?
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you,
Thanks, Martha.
Under new business, we have 6 items that are first reading. Those will be second readings next month.
So, we'll make a motion.
Yep.
Do you just make a motion for them to be on the agenda?
No, I think just to
To approve the
move these
reading.
first readings. So I make a motion that we approve the first reading for policy 4006, 6009, 5027.
Point of order, I'm sorry to
Sorry.
interrupt you. We don't make a motion to
We
approve
don't
first
have to?
readings. No,
Okay,
sorry, just
thank you.
second readings.
All right, very good.
Sorry,
Excellent.
Fran.
No, excellent.
Okay, so now we'll move on to our action items. Action item number 1 is act on the 2025-2026 school year. It is on page 65 of your board packet. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the 25-26 calendar as presented.
Second.
Motion by Nicole, second by Brian, no discussion.
I can give you just a quick overview. So we would have a similar start to the school year with new staff orientation and convocation kind of falling on the Thursday, Friday. give our staff one last weekend and come back fresh for 2 professional development days and then a half day for learners on that Wednesday. We would be back to a half day before Thanksgiving, and that is a result of how the winter break would fall, which results in us having 2 full weeks off. So right now, the last day of school would be Friday, June 12th, I believe. I don't have it up right in front of me. But if we had the day off of Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving, it already puts us in that next week.
Yeah.
Living where we live, we're probably gonna have a snow day or 2 and be in that next week anyway. But wishful thinking, we'd like to try to wrap up that same week. Any questions about the calendar?
The local, districts around us are all in agreement with the April break particularly?
Yeah, April break in particular, we have in the past couple of years been off of the other districts, and in the regional superintendent meetings I've been going to, they have been feeling strained because many, not just in our district, but many of the teachers have kids in other districts, and when their kids are off and they can't be off, they end up taking days off to be with their kids. So we try to align our April break. And there was a split with people who decided to keep the day before Thanksgiving and not have the full 2 weeks versus people who had the half day and then had 2 weeks.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Next, act on high school football co-op team. You have a document on the table. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the memorandum of agreement with Colchester on the co-op football league.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, seconded by Nicole. Discussion.
So this one is interesting. Football season is over, and we've already participated with Bacon Academy, but this is an agreement that needs to come to the board for approval. So I'll give you a little bit of history. Obviously, we don't have our own football program, but we do have athletes that like to engage in that sport. They were previously co-oping with Coventry and other schools. The CIAC requires those co-ops to be a minimum of 2 years. As our 2 years were coming to an end with Coventry, we started, exploring other options and had an invitation from Bacon Academy because of their low enrollment, they qualified for a co-op. Obviously, Colchester is much easier for our student athletes to get to and for our families and fans to go root on the team. So we did approach the families and the student athletes to see how they would feel about that potential move. Feedback was positive, so we started moving in conversations with Colchester. We had to involve Shipman and Goodwin and go through the processes of developing this agreement. That's how we ended up where we are today. I'm confident that this agreement is in the best interest of our students and appropriately put together by our attorneys.
Any discussion?
I have a question, 2 questions actually. Do the students that participate take out their own insurance or have their own insurance for health insurance?
They're covered through the co-op team, just like our other student athletes are.
Okay. I guess that's good. That's good.
Other discussion?
How many participants went to Coventry?
How many were,
If this last year, how many did we have?
I think there were like 6 or 7.
Like this
Yeah.
past year?
Yeah.
I think there were 8 actually, which is more than we've had in the past. In the past, I think we've had like 5. So like last, not this past season, but the season before, I think there were 5 kids.
Sarah?
I just wonder how comparable this is to, this agreement. With the other,
I wouldn't feel confident to give you an analysis of like specific numbers. I can.
financial, roughly,
Yeah,
or?
it's on par. It's not
Okay.
a savings and it's not, significant.
would the athletic trainer be working with this group as well?
When they're here, potentially, she might help them out with, giving advice for, stretching or things of that nature, but when they go to Bacon, they're using the athletic training services there.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. 10.3, next item, act on substitute wages. Andy is going to speak to this, but before we meet,
Motion to adopt the new substitute wages.
Second.
motion by Nicole, seconded by Sarah.
So we've talked a little bit about this. So Governor Lamont announced that Connecticut's minimum wage will increase to $16.35 on January 1st, 2025. Our current substitute custodians and substitute secretary positions would be at $16 an hour. So come January 1st, we would be out of line with the new minimum wage. All other substitute rates are above minimum wage. So tonight, I am proposing to the board that we move the substitute custodian and substitute secretary positions up to the minimum wage threshold of $16.35. I know that in the past, I've kind of tried to encourage us to consider bumping these positions above that threshold to make us more attractive and comparable to other districts. But given our current budget situation, I want to be as financially responsible as we can be, and I want to move us right to that minimum. And then I think we can, as a team, consider what we want to do as part of the 25-26 budget proposal in terms of potentially adjusting this. So my recommendation would be the substitute custodian and substitute secretary move to $16.35 an hour effective January 1st.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Next, act on new course proposal. This is starting on page 66 of your packet. Is there a motion?
As soon as I find the name of this. Business and technical communication? Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Motion to approve the new course entitled Business and Technical Communication.
I'll second it.
Motion by Nicole, second by Sherry. Is there any discussion?
Is there a cost to this extra course?
So to approve the course, there's not an extra cost. If we were to run the course, there could be associated costs of textbooks, but there would be no additional staffing plan to add this course.
Any discussion?
Is there a plan to run this course upcoming?
So I think, as with all of our sections, unfortunately, it really is contingent upon what happens with the 25-26 budget. This is a course that we think would be attractive to students. We think that it would be beneficial to our students. But depending on where the budget goes, it's either we run that section and not another. So I couldn't really confidently give you that answer at this point, unfortunately.
I only ask because, just as a follow-up, I believe that this particular course, the book was quite pricey. $125 a textbook or something like to the effect, and that's why I was wondering. Thanks.
I'd like to speak to that. I think that, that book, that was quite expensive, would be used as a reference by the teacher. And, they'd be able to pass along some of that information. So my understanding is that it wouldn't be a textbook for each student that was in that course. It would be a resource for the teacher.
I think you're getting that confused with the book for the graphic novel.
Okay, Right, but I was very impressed with the business and technical aspect of the writing, because that's so much of real-world writing for today. You know, it's not just an essay about a personal feeling about a character, it's real-world writing, technically, and, with what is needed in the business world.
I think that, this is a great idea for a course. I 100% support it. I am concerned about the budget, of course, and I'd like to cross that bridge when we get there. But I do think that this would hold benefit to our students for sure, at least having it as an option to run if we can financially make it work. I know if they're even listed in the proposal, there's potential to, financial increase, about $1,500 for the books. But if we can make it work, I'd like to see it run at some point. So even if we approve it tonight, it means it can be run, not necessarily next year, but the year after, potentially. I think it's innovative. I think it's the direction that we want to make sure that we're going in for our students. So.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is Sarah, Nicole, Dawn, Danelle, Alexis, Rachel, and Sherry. All those opposed, please raise your hand. That is Dawn and Brandon. Motion passes. Next, act on adoption of course books. Batman, The Dark Knight Returns is on page 69, and Superman Birthright is on page 72.
Motion to adopt the course books entitled Superman Birthright, Batman, The Dark Knight Returns.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Nicole, second by Rachel. Any discussion? Go on.
What is the cost of this course and the books?
So on page 74, it shows the cost of, hold it down. As I was talking to Rita about this, trying to keep costs down, is there a creative way to not have the price be so high? And what is the current price of our course as it is? And I think per pupil, adding these two books would make it about $150 total for all the textbooks for this course. So this particular, one of them is $28.49, and going up.
37.40.
Yeah.
The one you quoted was 28.49, and they're anticipating 30 students, so 854.70. And then the second one, 37.40, for a total cost of 1,122.
Yeah, so that's if they bought 30 books.
Right,
And again,
exactly.
in checking with Rita, they bought 10, I think, for each class, not 30.
Right.
And we could rotate the books if we had to.
But is that what we're approving?
We're approving,
30 books?
we're approving the book.
The book, okay.
Would these books be offered to the students to keep, or would they be returned at the end of the course to be used again for other students? Return.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Items for next agenda. Will be 2 weeks.
I'll double check.
So potentially, sorry.
Yes.
Sarah?
Executive session, please. For the purpose of discussing superintendent evaluation.
So definitely
John.
Morning, everyone.